Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Now this video has been a long time coming. It has been very difficult for me to work up the stamina and the courage to upload again, and it's not because I haven't had any content to post. I have such a backlog of content that I can produce for you guys, but I've been going through so much of my life that's kind of preventing me from doing what I love to do. As you can tell by the title of this video, and I don't want you guys to seem alarmed, at the start of this year I had made a video called the Careers Guide 2018 or something like that for the INFP, and it talks about finding your purpose and your vocation and using your different strengths and your MBTI to basically achieve the goals that you're setting out to achieve. Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that video, and I'm the kind of person who would follow that myself, except there is one problem, and that is when we fall into the pit that is of mental illness, it becomes very difficult to be able to allow ourselves to enjoy the things that we love to do and to follow our purpose. Sometimes it feels like, for me as an INFP, when I lose my way and lose what I feel like my purpose is, I just begin to feel really disheartened and feel like I've lost a big part of myself. And it's really hard to pull myself out of that. This is something, of course, that I have experienced all through my life, is gaining inspiration and then losing it again. And in this Careers Guide video, I talk about how to strengthen up the when we feel like we're losing it aspect. However, for me, this time is a little bit different. It isn't so much strengthening a weakness that I have, but it's about healing from mental illness. 3.5 years ago, a friend of mine took me to the doctors when she had figured out that I had some kind of mental illness and I was struggling to function for my daughter. So she took me to the doctors, and he had diagnosed me with postpartum depression and anxiety. And unfortunately, even though I got better, when I had Oscar, that had returned. Now, there is a 50% chance of postpartum depression returning when you've had more than one child. And, I kind of fit that case, really. So I've had this illness ever since my son was born. So that was almost 2 years ago. And I found it extremely difficult to be able to sort out the right help for myself, other than joining maternal mental health groups and getting counselling. I have sought out proper care for myself, but unfortunately there is still some kind of social stigma against mental illness, and our society still does not take it seriously enough. A few weeks ago, I had gone to the doctors to see if I could qualify for cognitive behavioral therapy after really suffering for the past 2 months. And he had said to me that I don't qualify because I'm not of Māori ethnicity, and my case also isn't strong enough. Now, this worries me so much because suicide is on the rise in New Zealand, and of course in other areas of the world, but especially in New Zealand, it has risen by 13 in the past year. So it is concerning to me that I have to kind of have a noose around my neck in order to be taken seriously. And because I hadn't been seen to urgently, or my case wasn't strong enough, I had continued suffering. And this has been so hard on my family and on myself, and there has been no way that I could upload a video during this time. And during this time, I have felt like I had lost my identity. And in that case, it feels like a big downward spiral, because as soon as I lose my identity, it kind of feeds the depression. One thing I know that helps me when it comes to my mental health is by feeling like I have an identity, feeling like I'm making a difference in the world around me. And that's what this channel has become, as a way for me to help others, and that makes me feel good. So when I don't have the will to upload, I'm not receiving that feeling of that I'm helping others, and it just kind of feeds off itself. It's terrible. It's a really common thing for an INFP especially to feel like every now and again they might lose their way or lose their identity. And for an INFP, having an identity is one of the most important things that we have. We're the kinds of people who base great value on who we are and what we represent in this world, what we stand for. And when we lose that, it hurts. It sucks, you know. It feels like the life has just been ripped away from you. Seeing it was Suicide Prevention Day on the 10th of September, I figured that this video was quite appropriate to do because suicide is on the rise in the OECD, and I feel that it's just not taken seriously enough. You get people saying that suicide is an act of weakness where it's certainly not. Suicide comes from a place of being at a point in your life where you cannot handle any more suffering. People who commit suicide or who are suicidal, they do not want to die. They don't want to leave their families behind. They don't want to leave their friends behind. But they get to a point where suffering becomes too much and they just don't see any way out other than ending the pain and the suffering. I know what it's like to feel like you are drowning and you can't breathe properly, and you feel so deeply set within turmoil in your head that you're looking at yourself and you're like what's wrong with me? Where am I? I've gone. I can't find myself anymore. And it's a really concerning place to be in. And I am working on getting myself better because I want to keep uploading, and I have tons and tons of stuff that I plan on doing with my life. Again, I want to be able to make a difference to everyone who needs it. I have this fire and this drive inside of me to make a difference. Now, I'm not really sure entirely how that is going to manifest, but I have certain talents that I can absolutely utilize in order to help. And I know that once I heal from my depression and from my mental illness, that I have so much to give. I have so much to give already. And unfortunately, having a mental illness can be very crippling at times. But I'm not going to let it destroy who I am. I feel that now it has become almost a duty of mine to raise awareness about mental illness and to stand up for all of those who feel the social stigma against them for what they're going through, because there is nothing taboo about someone with a mental illness. It does not make them any less than anyone else, and I'm here to stand up for them and to change how society views people with mental illness. Now, my case as someone with postpartum depression, again, comes from a mixture of things. One of them being a loss of identity. I feel that there is social stigma about me being a stay-at-home mother. I recently had come across this article about how mothers should vacation away from their kids and not feel guilty about it because it is psychologically good for both mother and child. And I want to get to the point, I want us to be at a point where mothers don't need those articles to convince them that self-care should be a primary need. There are all of these mummy wars and all of these judgments against mothers and about women. And I've had enough of our suicide rates increasing. I have had enough of going to the doctors and being turned away because my case isn't strong enough, even though I have had suicidal thoughts. I'm sick of this macho mentality that we have in our trades community, where apparently mentors feel it's their requirement to harden up the new blood, even though what they're doing is absolutely counterproductive, and apprentices walk away with generalized anxiety disorder and become avoidant. I'm sick of our youth feeling like they need to live up to these stupid societal expectations of, you know, what we see on social media, comparing ourselves to Instagram models, comparing ourselves to all of these people who pretend like they have everything and don't show their humanity. I'm sick of them getting bullied at school for the things that they don't have or the way that they are, because youth suicide is also on the increase. Now, I was bullied at my primary school. I was taken advantage of because of my gentle nature. And you know what the really screwed up thing was? Is that no one believed me. No one believed me that I was being bullied. And perhaps it's affected me psychologically. But I think even more so now is that I feel like I can be a voice for people who are in the same position that I used to be in. I think if anything good comes from my mental illness, it's given me the grounds to stand up and make a difference in our society. And I absolutely plan to. So you might see this channel slightly change a little bit. And that starts off with expanding a little bit more from INFP. But of course I will still cover that because it's fun and I love to be able to relate to all of you guys and have you guys say, that's just like me. It just warms my heart and I feel like I'm connecting. And that is the most important feeling that I have and that I feel like other people have. But we're going to start making changes in our society. And it starts with channels like mine and people like the Barter Barber, who travels around New Zealand talking about men's mental health while cutting men's hair in exchange for goods and services. It starts with Happy Mum, Happy Child, a courageous woman who talks about postpartum depression on social media. It starts with the Bridge the Gap project to talk about youth suicide and help to bring up our youth. And perhaps now Lex Morningstar's gonna start walking down that path too, where she changes social stigma against mental illness and starts to really make a difference in our society. Thank you all who have followed my channel thus far. I really, really appreciate you watching my videos and interacting with me. And again, from the bottom of my heart, I am so very sorry that I haven't been able to upload in these past couple of months. But rest assured, more content will be coming. In time, I'll get myself back on my feet and deliver the best way that I can. But for now, I hope you have a really good day, night, evening, morning, wherever you are in the world. And I'll see you all again next time. Bye.